So according to one study on domestic violence homicides, 99% of them were preceded by coercive control. And coercive control is a very confusing term. It's not one behavior, it's multiple behaviors. And they're not always like, I'm gonna slap you across the face. Sometimes it comes in the form of, wanting you to not wear a bikini at the beach because other men might look at you, and that wouldn't be cool. So that it can come off in a lot of different ways. So I wanted to make this video. Now, I know I have a coercive control video already, but this one is going to be much more thorough because as I was telling my family members about it, I realized they didn't even know. And it was hard for me to articulate what coercive control was. So I just decided to present a better video, a more comprehensive view. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I hope you guys enjoy it. A senior lecturer in criminology named Dr. Jane Monckton discovered that there are a particular set of behavioral patterns that occur in domestic violence homicides, and she was able to categorize these behavioral patterns into 8 different steps that usually occur before someone is killed. The first step is that the perpetrator has a history of stalking or domestic violence. The second step is when the relationship develops really quickly into a serious one. This can be like somebody saying I love you after 3 dates or something like that. The third step is that coercive control basically rules the relationship. It's like the center focus of the relationship. That's what's going on at that time. The fourth step is a trigger that happens to the perpetrator that threatens their control over the situation or their victim. This could be the end of the relationship itself, like the other person wanting to leave, the victim wanting to leave, or it could be something like financial difficulties where the perpetrator loses their job. In the fifth step, there is a clear escalation in the perpetrator's controlling behavior. The sixth step is possibly one of the most frightening besides step 8. The sixth step is when the perpetrator has a change of thinking. This can be that they want revenge or they want to hurt the victim, or they're moving on from the relationship and pretending that they're all fine. A lot of CCTV picks up the 7th step for perpetrators, and this is when people start to plan their attack. Somebody might go into a hardware store and get knives or gas or zip ties or something, to basically a kill kit to prepare for this murder. They might also be looking for ways to actively get the victim alone. The final step, step number 8, is when the perpetrator kills their victim. During this process, they can also kill other people or even children sometimes. So obviously the highlight of this video is coercive control. So let's focus on step 3. We know that coercive control is a pattern of behaviors that an individual uses to gain control in a relationship, creating an unequal power dynamic. And the messed up part is that they do this by breaking down the victim's self-esteem and self-worth and autonomy. So now let's go over some examples of coercive control behavior. The first one is monitoring activities. This can take form in recording, stalking, controlling where somebody goes, who somebody hangs out with, what they eat, what they drink, their email, their phone, and oftentimes we see couples have a shared social media account together, and this can also be an indicator of a partner's controlling behavior. The third example is a person exerting financial control over their victim. So a person could say, oh, well, I'm not really good with finances, or I overspend. So then the perpetrator will say, oh, well, I'll take care of the funds from now on, and it will just come into my account, and then I'll divvy it out, and then you can have like an allowance, so that way you don't overspend and we're not in a financially difficult situation. But in the end, this can turn into complete and utter financial control. This can also be taking money from a victim, controlling their financial decisions, and this can leave people without shelter, without clothes, or food sometimes. Another example is one that we hear a lot when we talk about domestic violence or when we learn about domestic violence, and that's that the perpetrator is isolating the victim. What does that mean? This basically means that if the victim has any sort of support system, whether it be work, school, family, friends, the perpetrator will oftentimes try to push that person away. They can do this by all of a sudden not liking that person, forcing their partner not to talk to them anymore, or it can be criticizing and talking poorly about the person. This might even be the victim's mother or the victim's family members that they're talking bad about. Sometimes they'll even force a victim not to go to work or not to go to school. This example includes a lot of manipulation. As we know, it's hard to recognize when coercive control is happening, and a lot of in-laws and spouses don't always get along, and that's been fed to us through society's TV shows and all that kind of fun stuff. But sometimes it's like a really, really big red flag, and the victim is getting sucked away from their family and support system with nobody even recognizing what's going on. Another example of coercive control can include insulting their partner or victim. This can be them saying, "You're fat, you're ugly, you're stupid, nobody's gonna want to be with you, I'm the only one that could love you." The final example I'm going to go over here is when the perpetrator involves pets or children. This is when a perpetrator manipulates the kids not to like their partner, or they tell the partner that if they leave, they're gonna take full custody of the children. Or it might be something like they start to tell their partner that their animal is sick or needs their help or is hurt. This can even happen to the children, even if they're not, just to get the victim back to the space where the perpetrator is. So as we can see, the examples that I gave of coercive control do not always seem threatening or dangerous. Oftentimes, the victim doesn't even know that they are in grave danger. But there are ways for us to tell if the relationship is getting more dangerous. And we can recognize that escalation through an increasing amount of physical or mental assaults, threats of murder or harm, and strangulation is a huge indicator that the relationship has shifted into a dangerous situation. Although coercive control is not yet illegal in the United States, in some countries in Europe it is, thank gosh, there are organizations that can help a victim understand coercive control and to help them get out of that situation. They often do this by helping the person create a safety plan. Here's an example of a safety plan from shelterforhelpinemergency.org. If you or anybody you know is experiencing domestic violence or coercive control, please get in touch with resources. Find an organization that can help you create a safety plan. Talk to your friends and your family. Let them know what's going on. There are supports that can help you. You are not alone, and you don't deserve this. I hope you guys have a good day, and thank you so much for listening. Please, if you feel compelled, share this video. I'm going to share it with my family and friends too, because so many people are unaware of coercive control. It's mind-boggling. And in almost every domestic violence homicide that I watch, like cases that I watch on TV or on YouTube or anything, these signs are clear as day. Once I really wrote them down and saw them, it is almost impossible not to see the patterns in the cases that I watch now. And I hope that it helps somebody out there. Love you guys. Stay safe out there.